Hey, what's up? Peace to everybody out there. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about influence and just some different ways you can think about it. Just my opinion on it. No, I'm not going to be talking about like advertising per se. Like, oh, we want you to buy the newest iPhone or something. Like, nah, I'm not going to talk about that. But I am going to talk just about the subject, just what I think about it right now. So we just had some thoughts on it. What? So I just thought I'd hop on here and share them. So it's YouTube after all. So share your ideas. Anyway, so let's start off with a definition of influence. According to Google here, influence is the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone or something, or the effect itself. So I think it's important to understand influence, especially in this society. But like I'm saying, I'm not going to go into advertisements or anything. So first of all, you have to understand that no one has absolute control over you. They have influence. That's what they have. You may think, or someone's in a position where, someone tells them to do something and they do it, and every time they tell them to do something, they do it because they're your boss or something, or even in more like terrible situations like domestic abuse or something. But even in those situations, you still have a choice. So they don't completely control you, they just heavily influence you. So I want people to like kind of understand that. And that's not to say that just because you have a choice you should always go with the road less traveled. Like, I know some people think that, but if someone like has a gun to your head or something and they want you to give them their money, you're gonna be like, you know what, I don't think so. Like, don't do that. Just give up the money. It's not all the time that just because you go against the grain or you go against society that you're always just better because you're different. Different is not always better. You don't always have to, not do what everyone else does in order to be better than anyone else. It is okay to give up the money if you're being mugged. Okay, it's just saying. So what I wanted to get into today is influence, obviously. So the first thing in this world, not even in this one society, but in the world, any world that has like technology nowadays, they have access to the internet. So the internet opens a wide field of a bunch of different things for people to do and see and interact with. So here's where influence comes in. Obviously on the internet there's a lot of influence, and people have said that the internet, because it opens you up to more ideas, that it can be better than had you just lived with your family and stuff. Because the idea is that if you don't have access to the internet or anything like that, then you will be influenced by your parents, maybe distant family members, your friends, and really just what you can see around you. Like, you won't be, you won't have any new ideas or anything. Everything will come from just around you. So you'll grow up to be exactly like the people who raised you, and the people in society, in your local store or whatever, your school and all that stuff. But so they're thinking that with the internet, now you have the opportunity to see everything, and so you can become better because you know a lot more about different things. Which, I mean, the internet can be good and bad. So just because you're open to more influence doesn't necessarily mean that you're all of a sudden gonna become like a good person. Because there are plenty of groups online who they come together and share and talk about ideas that really, it probably wouldn't have happened in real life. And I'll give you an example, but not like a crazy example. The crazy examples, they're out there. The crazy groups or anything, the people that come together and talk about a bunch of weird stuff that They wouldn't have talked about this weird stuff had they been in real life. So something like an avatar group. So this is my sister was talking about this, and I didn't even know about this, but it was an Avatar, the Last Airbender Avatar group, where they make up their own characters and just talk about what their characters can do in the Avatar universe. And I didn't even know there were all these groups out there that took anime so seriously. I watch anime, but I just don't watch it that often. So they really like created a whole like structure. And if Avatar was a TV series, I'm not sure if like these people would get together in real life and just hang out once a week or something just talking about this. I mean, it certainly could happen, but I feel like it's not as likely to happen. So what I'm getting at here is going back to the influence thing, right? Just because you have the internet, which opens you to more things, doesn't always mean that you're going to turn out the best. There's just like you can get sucked into this little circle where they're just talking about one TV show and they're just so into it and they're making up their own characters in the universe and all this stuff. You can get sucked into like one-track mind things even on the internet, which you wouldn't think would happen because the internet is like so huge and there's all this stuff you can check out over here and over there and up there, down here, around there, you know, behind you, whatever. But people get sucked into one thing on the internet just how they would get sucked into one thing in real life. Like, it doesn't actually change that much because people, they get first they get on the internet, look around, but once they find something they like, they kind of stick to it and they stay there and they get invested in that. Even though there's an internet that has a bunch of stuff on it, they go back to having kind of a one-track mind. So that's what I'm getting at. That's not to say that the internet is bad or anything. Obviously, I don't think that. And that's not to say that you shouldn't go on the internet. And that's not to say that the internet is all the way good either. I mean, it's not. But I'm saying just because you have a bunch of availability doesn't mean someone is going to be like open to everything and they're going to be, you know, think about all the different possibilities, because people on the internet become just as one-track minded as people in real life that don't have the internet. So that's just a thought about influence. On the flip side though, there are plenty of people who have, you know, done lots of things and opened their mind a lot, and they now know much more than they did before, and the internet has really benefited them. So it could really go either way. But now moving on from the effects of the internet, this is about influence, not just the internet. So there's also the influence that people have around you. You should be aware of this. You know, it's kind of like there's influence happening. Everything that you encounter has a little bit of influence on you. So, you know, it's kind of like you break the matrix. Like, you understand that everything has some sort of effect on you, and so you're aware that it's having an effect on you, and so you're not blindsided by anything. So you know that you have influence from your mom and your dad and brothers and sisters, cousins, uncles, aunts, whatever. Just understanding that, so that you know when to give something up, or you know when to not necessarily just agree with it just because someone really close to me said it, or the internet said it, or somebody somewhere just said this, so it must be true. If you understand that you are always being influenced, then you yourself can start influencing you, and you can make sure that some things that try to influence you don't make it inside your head. You know, it's like a protective shield that you put around your mind that can only be there when you understand that there are things trying to get in your head. But if you don't know what's happening, it's kind of hard to do anything about it. So finally, I want to get to the influence that you have on others and not just everything on you. Because if you're like older watching this, really you don't have to be you really influence anyone at any age. I mean, even as you're a baby, you're still influencing people, anyone that comes across you. Maybe not as heavily, but still. But if you're older, you have a lot more influence on people, especially family members. If anyone out there has brothers or sisters, whether they be older or younger. I know I have two little brothers, actually. One of them doesn't live with me, but the one that does, I know I'm like a big influence on that guy. So I gotta watch myself. So you gotta watch yourself too. You know, understand that what you're doing, they see, and they could take that in. And so if you don't want them to do something that you're doing, probably you should not do it either. And unless it's something like, I don't know, having a job or something and they're too young. But you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. You shouldn't do things if you don't want your kid or your younger brother or whatever to follow your footsteps, instead of just saying, oh, just don't do this. Or you're trying to hide it, even if you're doing it with no one there. I mean, if you think other people shouldn't do this, then probably you shouldn't do it either. But yeah, you really gotta watch how you affect other people. Because if you are smart enough to recognize that everything has a little bit of effect on you, then you're also smart enough to realize that you have a little bit of effect on anything else you come across, anyone else you come across. So be careful what you do, what you say, how you act, because you have a influence, just like everyone else. And if you use it wrong, then that sucks, right? You're dragging down society or something. So yeah, do it. Use it to the best of your abilities. Be mindful. Be aware of influence. And this isn't all I have to say on the subject, but I think this video is long enough, so I will let you guys go. And I'm gonna go to sleep soon. So yeah, I'll see you guys in another video. Hope you enjoyed. Peace to everybody out there, and goodbye. Peace.